Welcome to the February 28th SIG Release meeting. My name is Jeremy, and I'll be the host today. We have not a huge agenda today, so we'll get started with updates from Carlos and Adolfo about signing things that are blocking the releases a little bit right now. So just before we get started, remember this meeting is covered by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct. So please be mindful of the things you say, and we are recording, so this will be available on Zoom. With that, Carlos and Adolfo, to be respectful of your time, since you have to go to another meeting, you want to give us an update on where we are with the pending releases?
Yeah, sure. I'll do a super brief context background on the problem. So during the last patch releases, the promoter got rate limited when signing, and we don't know exactly why, but it got rate limited by Sigstore. And so we have the fortune to be here in person with some of the people who are on call for that stuff. So checking on the logs and everything, it seems that for some reason, all of our signing requests got funneled into the same pod at the same time. So we got rate limited. And that's another problem to deal with later. But the unfortunate situation where this left us is that we have, this impacted only the images during the patch releases. All other images that have been promoted after that are signed correctly and shouldn't have any problems. Now, the images of the patch releases were caught in one of 4 states. The first ones don't have any signatures at all. Then we have another set who have partial signatures, in the sense that maybe one image has a signature and it didn't got replicated to the other mirrors. Then we have another set of images that have got their signature. So we signed the images twice, one during staging and the second one at production time when we promote them. And there's a bunch of signatures that got the signature copied from staging, but when the promoter broke, didn't get the promoter signature.
And even was not replicated to the other registries as well.
Exactly. And finally, I don't remember if any of them got into this, but there may be some that are correctly signed. So last week, I wrote another subcommand for the promoter to check the status of the signatures and try to fix them. But we weren't accounting on the fact that some images have the signature from staging. So the way this new subcommand works is it will look for the specific signature image tag, because signatures are attached as kind of image. So it checks for the existence of the tag, and the first iteration I wrote simply assumes that if it finds the .sig, it's signed. But then when we were checking before running the job, we found this new situation that some have the signature from staging. So that's where we are, and we already delayed the releases from last week to this week, and now we have this new
and then we came with some ideas and suggestions that we want to share and see what's the decision from our side. One option is we continue, we need to update this new command to check if the signature have both signatures, or at least the CrowdTrust signature. If they don't have it, we need somehow sign those things.
Now, just briefly, this one is the one that probably requires the most amount of work.
Yeah, and if we follow this path, we might need to delay the patch releases again, maybe for the next week or maybe even longer. We don't know yet. Other option is we make a patch in the release stage part to ignore the checking the signatures, and then we complete this release, and we maybe burn this release and cut a new one.
Yeah, this was Marco's suggestion last week.
And then we run the new one, and like we revert the change that checks the signature, but then we cut a new set of patch releases. And then while we do that, we continue work on this tool, in this command tool. Then we can validate this tool with the dead release. Then we can sign the current release with the missing signatures to see if everything works. But then we not delay anything more, and then we just cut a new release, and the current one, we call it the dead one, and try a new one.
The other is we release without the signatures. We patch the curl release to only check for the images to see if they're there, or maybe even skipping that because we've tested a ton of times to see if they're there. We release without signing and simply add the signatures after the fact of the release.
Yeah, but this problem we might maybe break people down downstream users, because they might already checking the signatures with like this it's a unknown.
Which may also happen with the burned release, because if they see the tag and act on it, it may be sending them.
Yeah.
And I think those are the scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I had like one more day, like a full work day to work on it, I could get the command down, but unfortunately we're in this thing and we're in and out, locked in an auditorium. So I'm not sure I'm gonna get the time to fix that part of the new create promo thing. So, well, that's what I have so far. So happy to hear others. I know.
Basically, I'm taking timeline as a context. The next patch release is going to be in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's
Can
why
we just skip and say to, that's like a random ID, say to the community, we skip patch release for February because we're dealing with something impacting us from a third party, and we just ship March patch releases.
Just to add some just to make the context clear for everybody. In order to skip the patch release, we need to. Oh. No, I was thinking that we need to finish it, but maybe not.
we need to finish because
Oh yeah, we need to finish because
tag.
the images are there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in order to cut a new release and scrap, in order to scrap this release, we need to cut the tag, finish the release, because the images are already out there. So since the next release needs to be the next versions for each branch, we need to finish it somehow. So
we can elevate an exception to basically get those tag removed.
to remove the tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in order to cut the next one, we needed to exist to.
And also removing tag might break publishing bot, so
Yeah.
it is a very risky thing to do. Also, there are issues with Go cache. If someone caches the tag, then a lot of errors are going to.
Yeah, they're gonna be.
I think publishing bot is kind of, we can just basically revert configuration publisher to a state before the release, and we say, okay, we have publishing bot by 120. I think the 1 of January. I think my question is, do we have GitHub tags right now existing in the KK repo matching batch releases?
Right now we don't.
Right now we don't.
In that case,
the only artifact right now marked with the release with the release tags are the images. We have everything built at the build points, and those artifacts already are tagged, but are not released. So those are hidden.
No, actually they are released, right? They are in the production bucket already, right?
No,
the promoter didn't run.
No. The images are in the production bucket. The binaries aren't.
Yeah, the binary is going to push on the release part.
Because either we basically took some kind of extreme measure by by deleting those tags and redo the release for those patch release and say, oh, we cut that this week, and in 2 weeks we cut the patch releases of March, or we just not doing anything.
I think this is a little bit more complicated. In the past we already like burn a tag and cut a new one. I think we can do the same maybe.
Yeah, but
We burn
Also-
this tag and just run again and with a new tag, but not reuse the same tag.
Okay.
and the way
Sorry,
go.
let me ask something. Promoter did the main job, right? It promoted images to all mirrors. So images are ready to use, they're only not signed. Is that correct?
Yes.
So basically, if we will proceed with the release, we get rid of that checking in CRUD release. We will have fully functional release, only that they're not signed.
Exactly.
What if we like stop there? I mean, we tell community, hey, those releases are not signed. If you depend on that, like we are a bit sorry, but we will just release a new one in March, which is like in 2 weeks from now, so that we avoid cutting another set of patch releases right after.
Yes, and finish, Marco.
Yeah, that would be, I think that would be a good plan. Like, I think not a lot of folks really depend on that right now. So this is not really going to affect many folks. Not nice, but something that we can consider.
And the idea is we finish this, update the tool, and then we sign in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We make them consistent eventually. And the way I see it is we have kind of two choices. So one, we release with the signatures kind of not there yet, or we scrap the release. But in order to scrap the release, we have to effectively release, triggering all sorts of automated processes downstream, right? And I can bet my house even that more people are depending on those tags and artifacts getting released to trigger their processes than the signatures.
Yeah.
So we have to make a choice. I would rather say we release without the signatures and make them consistent eventually.
Yeah.
I think that's a good path forward.
And Mohammed?
Mohammed?
I have a few questions. So the first one is like, what's the problem with having the signatures appear a week later, right? Because you had problems, and making that like a routine expectation.
Yeah, that
signatures-
one is that we don't know who's depending on that. We bet not a lot of people yet, but
Yeah, but like as a routine, right? It'd be like good idea to say, oh, we publish image signatures, but sometimes if we do run into problems, expect them to turn up in a week without throwing out the release and be like, this one didn't happen, let's use another one. My other question is, I need to do some work in K-Promo and a bunch of other things in like a week and a bit. Do you think you'll have some capacity to help me out with that, or do I need to consider other options?
I didn't get the question. Do I think what?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of making some changes to K-Promo. In paper, it's trivial, but if it gets messy, it's going to require all hands on deck to deal with it. So is there capacity for both of you to look at that over the next 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, starting next week, this thing we're here is over, so we'll have more cycles to look into that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so summarize, we are agreeing that we're gonna continue the release, but release without the signatures. Is that correct assumption?
I just have one question. I'm not sure if I understand lack of the excuse me, sorry, lack of the signature in the images. Will that cause the reliability issue in terms of Kubernetes release? Oh,
Only the immediate effect is if you have automated processes that check on the signatures before running or depend on them in any way, then they may not work at the time we release. And they may even fail because they may be failing already because the images are already out there unsigned. So that's the only one. And we don't have other than that, we don't expect any other. Yeah, I mean, people verifying manually or whatever, but that's the only one.
Cool. Yeah, I guess, but if like people who are affected are already affected in this case.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know, but because people sometimes act on the tag when the tag to Git is published.
Yeah.
And when we publish that, it may trigger the fail.
And Cici, just to make sure, this is only affected this patch release is not gonna, like, we hope that the rate limit and stuff not affected the
current release cycle.
yeah, the 127 that you want to cut maybe this week.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe you missed that, Cici, but so the rate limit has not changed from Sixer side. I mean, now it's changed because they increased it, but it had not changed for months. And for some reason, when we signed, we hit one pod with all the requests at the same time, and that's why it failed. But we don't know why. Maybe bad luck, cluster was rebalancing, who knows?
So that means we can continue with our like alpha card for the current release cycle, right?
Yeah. And we have like we have about 70 other images which have been released, promoted after the patch releases were cut, and all of those were signed correctly. I mean, it's not the same number of images, but those are signed correctly.
I see. Oh, another question is like the patch release is already delayed for at least 2 weeks by now, right? So are we still planning to, like, so far as the current plan, we still plan to do the patch release for like which planned last month, like in February patch release, and then do another patch release in 2 weeks?
Yes.
With the fully fixed in.
Yeah, and the other thing that we should kind of communicate clearly is the patch releases were already, so the releases were already cut 1 week back. So even if we release tomorrow, next week, or whatever, those changes correspond to the build point 1 week ago. So there's no, the actual artifacts, the artifact delivery is delayed, but the release was cut in time.
I see. I see. So basically the changes is still like in like a whatever, like a week ago. We just the artifact availability date is delayed.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thank you.
I just want to mention something super important, but we have to make sure that nothing got merged since starting the releases. Otherwise, we might have issues with cutting those releases. Yeah. And this is also a shout out to release managers. Please don't merge anything. Otherwise, yeah, we will have issues.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I was checking out the cherry picks, and so far I didn't see any merges of that.
Okay, good point. I had totally forgotten about those.
Okay, then we have a plan, right?
Okay, just one more question. Since I already sent out the announcement about the delay on the alpha card today, so is everyone okay with like we do the alpha card tomorrow instead of today?
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Maybe let me think about it actually. Maybe Thursday, if we want to resume with releases tomorrow, let's say, we finish them as it is, revert if we got rid of any checks, and then resume with alpha on Thursday.
It'd be ideal to not do the alpha on the same time as the other ones, just for clarity.
Okay, I'm gonna try to work on the Corel release to remove the checks, and then open a PR, and then we can discuss on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So like we still plan on doing the alpha card tomorrow, just to be clear.
Thursday.
Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll send out an announcement and yeah, I'll work on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other question for us?
Nope, I think that's pretty clear. We'll summarize in the SIG release channel just for everybody else that's not on the meeting right now.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Cool.
Right.
Does anybody have anything else they want to go over? The agenda was pretty empty. Was empty today, so we didn't have anything else to cover. end a little early and give folks time back if they would like.
I have just a small question.
Go for it.
I'm new and thank y'all for letting me join. Is there any chance that maybe in the future we can separate out the tagging and the artifact generation so that we can get the tags out even when the artifacts are not generated yet?
So getting the tags out.
You mean the tags in GitHub or the image?
Yeah, the tags in GitHub are what we rely on to start our automation here at Rancher. And so we don't actually depend on any of the images. So if we can get the tags, we can get our releases out without having to worry about that. So it's
Okay.
Well, the problem is that, yeah, sometimes we need to do like when we are building and we sometimes need to, the stage builds, we need to like run them several times. And we have the processes set up as the most complex parts of the release process happen during staging. So we try to aim for, in situations like this one, where things may fail, we try to catch them before we publish the tags. So in order to, if we need to go and make any adjustments and we need to like merge more PRs or whatever, we can still do it. But because if we got the tag early, then we're subject to always release at that build point and make, and we have in the past we have like needed to scrap releases entirely because we didn't have a way out when the tag was already cut.
okay. That sounds absolutely reasonable. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, it's understandable. And of course, well, we're trying to get this fixed as fast as we can, but
I really appreciate it. You guys are doing great. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Welcome, by the way. Is it Matt?
Yes, that's
Sorry.
right. Yeah.
Welcome.
I appreciate it. I have plans to eventually shadow, hopefully, the release team.
Yeah, so we usually have like a welcome section before the meeting, but since we're kind of in the middle of a fire here, we skip
Yeah,
over.
no, that's great. Yeah. I appreciate just being invited, being able to be a fly on the wall is awesome. Yeah.
No invitation needed. You can know. This is yours as much as it's any of ours.
All right. If anybody has any other topics for quick, we can jump on those. Otherwise, we'll end it a little early and folks can have some time back now.
I have one more thing to add.
All right,
So
go for it.
you might have seen the red banner on the Kubernetes IO website earlier today.
Checking it out now. Yes. Legacy
Yeah.
Kates.gcr.io container image registry will be frozen in early April 2023.
Update your references.
Yeah, that's gonna run for up to 127. Might disappear briefly for like a KeepCon message, but it'll be back on right after that for a little bit while, and then it'll be gone. But yeah, this is happening after all.
Yes.
But the change will be official, hopefully in like 3 weeks.
Cool. That'll be exciting. All right, folks. Have a great evening, afternoon, morning, depending on what time it is for you. See you on the internet.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.